I'm also a politician, so I know how to tell stories. I lie to people all the time. Guys, actually, I've been hearing to talk about this, but those people that live in town know that. I'm sorry, I get up here where the microphone can hear me. Uh, Forum is right in the middle of Tater Hill and Possum Holler. And if you live here, you know that, and you hear the stories. And if you go, to the west, you run into Tater Hill. You go down to the east, and you run into Possum Holler. Well, one of the things that I've always been told about, and I used to see when I was a kid, was the caboose that used to sit out in the middle of Possum Holler. And for you people that know that area, there's no train tracks in 100 miles from that place, so it makes no sense that there's a caboose sitting on the side of the road out there. But the story I was told by my father was that stay away from it. It was haunted. He said, if you ever want to test your faith, he said, go out there in the middle of the night, he said, and go up to the caboose. He said what happened was a long time ago when the train used to come through Porm, the caboose got loose and it went 8 miles out into the woods and went all the way to down into Possum Holler. Said the conductor that was riding on the back of the train died in that accident and was out there with that caboose. He said, if you ever want to go meet him, he said, you go out there, he said, late at night and kill the car, turn the car off, get outside and walk around a little bit. He said, and listen. He said, and when you listen for the chopping. He said, somebody's cutting wood at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, didn't matter. He said, if it's dark, somebody was chopping wood out there. Now, like I said, he always told me that the conductor was looking for more people to help him clear the pathway to get that caboose back up here to the trains. And so, like I said, when you drive out there, that's what he's doing. He's chopping wood, but he's looking for somebody else to help him. And there's only one way to help him is if he takes you with him. So that was the story I was told about the caboose. The other stories, like I said, you'll have to bear with me because I remember parts of them. My dad used to tell me all sorts of stories about different things and why animals had certain things, characteristics about them. He told me a story one time about a woodpecker. He said, you know why a woodpecker looks like it does and it only pecks wood? And I said, no, I don't understand that. He said, there was an older lady that cooked many big pies, and she was like the best pie maker in the village. And she would make these pies. Well, this one little boy had a couple pennies in his pocket, and he went up there and he said, ma'am, he said, I know this won't buy me a big pie, but will it buy me anything? And she said, yeah, I'll make you a pie. Well, she's kind of a hateful lady, and like I said, a lot of the Indian stories tell you about fairies and the spirits that run through the woods. Well, there was a fairy listening to this conversation. They had the conversation about the pie. He gave her 2 pennies that he had in his pocket, and she looked over and she said, well, my Noah pies are way better than this, so I'm not going to make him one of my pies. So she pinched off a little bit of piece of dough, put it in the oven, and man, it came out to be one of the biggest pies she'd ever made. She said, oh, that's way too good for him. So she slid it off to the side, and she got a smaller piece of dough, and she threw it in there. And then when it did, it cooked was twice the size as the first pie. She did it one more time, and just a speck of dough. And when it did, it come into a pie, that dwarfed the other 2 pies. But when she did, the little boy come back to get his pie, and she said, here's your 2 pennies back. You're not worthy of these pies. My pies are too great for you. So she ran him out the door and ran him off, and the little boy was a little sad, and he's crying, of course. Well, the fairy heard all this. The fairy comes up to her, and he tells her, he said, the rest of your days you're going to spend pecking wood. He said, and everybody's going to know you because they're going to know you by the way you're dressed. He said, that black dress that you got on now will turn to feathers. That white apron you have on the front will turn to feathers as well. He said, and that red handkerchief tied around top of your head will be the feathers there as well. He said, so my dad always told me, he said, now, next time you see a woodpecker and he's pecking at that tree, you know why. Because his greed and stuff in life got him something a little less desirable. So I'm going to get off here, and Henry promised me he'd get up here and tell a story too.